Hi Bluebirds! Chapter 3 of How Not to Go to School. Chapter 3. What About Friends? Monday the 30th of March 2020. Sometimes I think imaginary friends are better than real friends. They never argue about what game to play, and they always know exactly how you're feeling, and they don't have any bad habits like trumping, except for Trumpbox, the imaginary trumping robot, or picking their noses, apart from Norbert Noseful. He's another one of my imaginary friends, and he keeps all his things in his nose. In his left nostril he keeps his violin, his paintbrushes and his pet mouse in his right nostril. In total I have 7 imaginary friends. Number 1, Evil Eggbert. He's about the size of an egg and he sits on my shoulder telling me to do shockingly evil things. Once he told me to trap my little brother under a laundry basket with 3 heavy dictionaries on top to stop him escaping. Don't worry, I almost never do what Eggbert tells me to. Number 2, Norbert Noseful. Everybody already knows about him. Number 3, Parsley, the imaginary guinea pig. I invented her before I had any real guinea pigs, and then it wouldn't have been fair to get rid of her just because I'd got real ones. Anyway, the real guinea pigs don't mind because she's imaginary. Also, I've named her after myself because I was really young and I didn't have a very good imagination. Number 4, Pom Pom the ninja. He's an imaginary ninja who looks after imaginary unicorns at the end of my garden. Sometimes the other ninjas make fun of him for liking unicorns so much, but he doesn't mind because unicorns are awesome. They eat fairy dust and poop rainbows. Detective Inspector Dracula. A vampire who is a detective. Quite a lot of time it turns out that Detective Dracula was the bad guy as well as the detective, which makes it a bit awkward. The Reading Dog, number 6. The reading dog is one of those big shaggy brown dogs who just loves books. He loves nothing better than to snuggle up and read my book over my shoulder. Trumpbot. A genius scientist created him with a cutting-edge trump extinguishing technology, but unfortunately the scientist got distracted and put the nozzle on backwards, so now Trumpbot just trumps a lot. Most of the time this is kind of nasty, but sometimes it's useful to have someone to blame. Today I was in the garden with Detective Dracula, trying to solve the mystery of the sheep's skull on the wall. How did it get there? Who killed the sheep? What happened to the rest of its body? I had 2 suspects. First, my brother Beau. He was always digging around in the dirt, unearthing rotting old things, and he won't let us throw them away because he calls them his treasures. One time he found a black leathery bird's claw the size of his fist. He carried it around tied to a piece of string for weeks until Mom accidentally threw it in the bin. My other suspect is Detective Dracula himself, but I couldn't work out how an imaginary vampire could lift a real sheep's skull. I was stumped, and so was Detective Dracula. That's the problem with imaginary friends. When you run out of ideas, so do they. So I decided to send for backup. I ran inside and grabbed the enchanted tablet. It looks and works just like a normal tablet, except it uses magic instead of electronics. That's how I talked to my best friend Tui. There are lots of brilliant things about Tui, like that she can speak Maori, and she always has the best ideas for games, and her hair is a different colour each week, and she always knows how to solve a mystery. But there's one terrible, horrible, atrocious thing about Tui. She lives in New Zealand. That's on the other side of the world, so I can only talk to her by magic or electronic tablets. Tui cracked the case immediately. Detective Dracula must have used his evil vampire powers to possess Beau and make him put the skull on the wall. Then we played some games together, because even though we're best friends, sometimes it's a bit difficult just talking through an enchanted portal. I don't know what grown-ups blabber on about for hours and hours. After talking to Tui, I felt happy, but I also felt sad that she lived so far away. When I feel like this, imaginary friends aren't such a help, because they just feel the same way as me. So I wrote a postcard full of questions for my nan. My nan is tiny. Not like evil Eggbert, but she's smaller than me. Sometimes I think she's so small that she's not really a grown-up. She's more of a grown-down. Normal grown-ups are so busy worrying about crystals and getting super glue out of Beau's hair, but my gran always has time to understand. Here are some of the questions I asked her. Did you ever have an imaginary friend? Who do you miss seeing the most at the moment? How should I keep in touch with my friends? What do you think we should do when we get to meet up in real life again? That's the end of chapter 3.